So I'm going to start this on the front plane. I will start my sketch here and just right click and go normal to. I'm going to recommend that you turn on your constraints, as you're going to need them when you apply the tangency constraints. Now I know that there's a circle in the center, and this whole thing is pretty much built up off of the origin. So I'm going to probably start by drawing that circle in the center, and then a couple construction lines. This is a 3 1/4 diameter, 3.25, just to define that. And now I'll draw in a construction line. And I had mentioned before I wasn't going to do dimensions to start, but I am going to for this one, and it's 2.5 up. This brings me to the top of this feature, the top of my sketch. And now I'm going to draw and not apply dimensions, but I'm going to make it resemble what the sketch looks like. And then I could apply my dimensions later. All right, so I know that I have an arc somewhere over here that's tangent to this, but it's also tangent to the top edge. I could also end up using some fillets later to create this. So now these are tangent together. You can see that with the constraints here. If you hover over it, you can see which ones light up. There's a line over here that's at an angle, and it comes up and it does intersect this, so it'd be coincident, but it's also tangent at the same time. So you want to make sure you see that constraint form. If you don't, what you need to do is draw your line, select these two, and make them tangent. I'm typing T for tangent, and then I'm going to select the endpoint in the arc and type I for coincident. But I would recommend just drawing the line free floating and snapping it right in place when you see those constraints. To the bottom of this, I seem to be missing a dimension, so I'm just going to wing it here. And I'm basically drawing this the same exact way. I have a line that goes over, and then one that goes down. There's going to be a fillet applied there. The size of the fillet is an 8, so you could type in 0.125 to get that to the proper size. And then there's a line over, and I'm going to add in my measurements later. So now I'm drawing a circle that's going to be vertical to this point, but also coincident to it and tangent. And just like I did before, where I needed a tangent line here, I'm going to just click somewhere, move my cursor over, look for coincident and tangent. And now there's a line free floating over here. These are connected by fillets. That's the only reason why I made this free floating. So if I were to select the fillet tool now and define this for these two at 1/2 inch, it's not allowing me to, so I'm going to extend these closer. Just make them touching. Now I can apply fillets. At this point, there's 1/2 inch. And same thing with this one. So I click again, 1/2 inch. Now I have those two fillets. Now looking at this, I need to clean this up and start dimensioning. I know there's trimming right here. Let's see if it allows me to trim this part away. I need to trim away this piece of the arc here. And I can start to define this. Across this way. When you look at the drawing, there's a 2 1/4 measurement right about where my cursor is right now. So I'm going to type D, enter, and select the line, select this one point, and go 2 1/4. I already applied a height measurement here. On the drawing, you'll see a dimension across the top, right about where my cursor is now. It says from the center here to the center line, it's 3.5. So that figures out that piece. From the center here, the center line, this one's 4 1/8. This is a 1/2 inch radius. This one here is a 1/2. Apparently my numbers are not taking. All right, there are a couple more dimensions that I need. I need an angular dimension. This is 11 degrees. To get the angular dimension, if you select your line, and then let's say this one right here, move your cursor, you can set that to 11. Now notice how that whole top part went fully defined. And the dimension that is missing in the text here, or on the image, I believe this is a 40 degree. And there is also a height missing from the center to the bottom, which I will figure that one out and let you guys know. I'd mentioned there's a fillet here. So selecting the fillet tool, selecting this point. You're going to get an error, so I'm just going to drag this in, click, and type in 0.125. That applies that fillet. The distance from this endpoint. Hopefully I selected the right thing in this line. Nope. I'll just use the vertical intersection to apply it. This is 1 7/8, so 1 plus 7 divided by 8. And again, there's only one height missing. I'm going to move it up. We're going to go with 3.5. So looking at this, that created basically this entire feature, or the entire sketch. I do need this information on the other side, so I'd probably just choose mirror, use a construction line, highlight everything. Select whatever didn't go. That should create the entire sketch, where now you would take this and extrude. There is no thickness, so I'm just going to go with 1/8 of an inch. All right. Now what needs to be added are the 4 holes. Those you can figure out by looking at the dimensions. And one other piece, there is a little cutout right here. I will design this one in a brand new sketch. I think I just messed up this one. Okay. My computer is really lagging. All right, so the last piece. I'm going to start a sketch here on the top surface. I need this circle right here, so I could redraw it, or I could use this convert entities, or use project convert. And you'll notice that it creates the geometry for me. Now what I need is a construction line and a construction circle. The length of this line is 1 7/8. Now I need another construction line that's at 90 degrees for setting the dimension right here of 28 degrees. So that should fully define this. The construction circle I actually don't need because I just defined the length of this line here. And now there is an arc right here. That is a radius of 5/16. Just 5/8 in diameter. Now I need two lines here that are parallel to this. So I could either offset or I could just select somewhere on here, draw over looking for tangent and coincident. I'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Draw over looking for tangent and coincident. Now select these two and make them go parallel. Do the same thing here. Select these two, go parallel. The other option would have been to select this line here and use offset and offset it at 5/16, and it would have done the same exact thing. I'm not going to trim any of this. I'm just going to choose now extrude, and I'm removing. And this should go through all. Just going to rotate to see if it worked. Here we go. Again, the holes, you guys could add those on your own. They're all fully defined. This height measurement was missing. I set it to 3.5. It does look a little large. If I wanted to edit this, I could just right click on my sketch and choose edit. I'm actually going to double click on this now. Just make it 3. And that looks significantly better. And everything should adapt perfectly. I didn't realize that that drawing would take